Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Redux What Ifs, and today I got a special what if for y'all. It's going to be what if Danny Phantom was in Young Justice Season 1, Episode 1. Now, how I'm going to do this is if y'all watch Danny Phantom, I'm going to make this take place after there's this episode called Reality Trip, and that's after Dark Danny. That's basically like the last episode of Season 2 where basically Freak Show had their universe's Infinity Gauntlet, pretty much, and everybody found out his identity. So everybody in the whole world knew who he was, including the Young Justice people. But Danny got it, so he really warped reality back to where everybody forgot who he was, except actually no, he made his friends forget who they were too, and for them to never be a part of that type of danger again. He made it to where they forget, and his family moves to where the Young Justice is currently located at, right? So he could fight crime over there, or whatever he does, right? So that's how we're gonna pick up this story. So without any further ado, sit back, relax, and let's dive into the what if. Now, I already explained how I was gonna do it, so we're gonna pick off a few, we'll say like a day before he moves. He just goes ghost, excuse me, my bad. He goes ghost and flies around Amity Park one last time before he has to go. The Fentons disable the ghost portal, really make it seem like it was not there, and they move to Happy Harbor, and they build, Fenton Works and another ghost portal down there. So with that being said, now that Danny has a new quote on, like, sort of like playground to fight crime on, he decides to venture out and go see what this new city has to offer, right? And so he goes around and sees what this new city has to offer, and he sees he's just flying around seeing everything, and then he sees Kid Flash and Barry fighting Captain Cold, and it seems like they were struggling a little bit, so Danny decided to go help as he shoots ghost rays at Captain Cold, which Captain Cold makes a shield using his gun, as it breaks the shield but pushes Captain Cold back due to the force of the explosion. So Danny lands, and he was like, wow, I never seen a villain with a cold gun before. That's actually kind of cool. He was like, I never experienced anything like this, but it's time to take in the new things. And that's when Captain Cold was like, Flash, is this one of your quote unquote sidekicks? And even Flash was like, I have no idea who the kid is, but if he's here to help, then I'm not against it. And then that's when Wally was like, who are you? He was like, the name is Danny Phantom. He was like, half kid, half ghost. Never heard of me. And then that's when Danny was like, right, you wouldn't hear of me because, yeah, that incident. He was like, I don't know who you are, but let's focus back to what we were doing. And so that's when Captain Cold decides to shoot the gun again, but this time Danny creates a shield reflecting the beam, right? He reflects the beam, and it shoots right back towards the gun, freezing the gun, and Captain Cold is taken out of commission. And then that's when Flash was like, good work there, Danny, good work there, Phantom, right? It was like, Danny Phantom, but Phantom's okay. And then that's when he was like, well, I'll let you guys take care of things here. I got a jet. And then that's when he takes off, right? He, takes off super fast. Kind of like, we'll say he's about 1/5 of Superman's cruising speed. So that's pretty fast, but not as fast as Superman flying, right? And so I got to give y'all the update on the suit, right? So basically, it's still season 1, season 2, same thing with the DP on it, right? But the only difference is that it's inverted, right? it's inverted. So imagine, actually, no, that shit would kind of look kind of weird if it's inverted. Yeah, that does look weird. Yeah, on second thought, that does kind of look weird if it was inverted. So yeah, let's just forget that. It's not inverted, okay? It's not inverted. It's not inverted. So he takes off, and that's when, everything goes to canon for episode 1. How is basically today's the day that they get inducted to the Justice League, or so they thought. And so that's when Danny sees all these heroes at this hall and all these people. So that's when Danny was curious. He was like, let me go see what's going on. And then that's when he flies towards the Hall of Justice, and then he sees, all the heroes: Superman, Batman, Aquaman and Aqualad, Robin, everybody just go into this, Green Arrow, Red Arrow, my bad, Speedy, before he turns into Red Arrow. So they all go inside, right? And that's when Danny was like, I wonder what they're hiding in there. So he, phases through the wall, and then that's when he turns invisible. And so that's when everything goes to canon to that. Speedy exposes the Justice League, not in like a bad way, but saying they had like a watchtower in space, and they didn't know that, so they come up with their own team. And Speedy says that he doesn't want to be a part of the Junior Justice League and leaves. And then that's when Danny makes his entrance, and he was like, well, that kind of went sour. And then that's when everybody gets on alert. And then that's when Flash was the first one. He was like, wait, hold on. He's not a bad guy. He was like, I could actually vouch for the kid. He helped me take down Captain Cole. He was like, he has a unique power sets, and I think he'll be a good addition to the team. And that's when Batman was like, if Flash is, since Flash is one of the founding Justice League members, he was like, if Flash vouches for you, then I'll take Flash's words. He's like, but we'll keep a watch on him. And then that's when Danny was like, cool, so I'm a part of the team now. Interesting. And then that's when he introduces himself. That's when the league says that they have to do league work, and then they all leave, which they explore the mountain with the training facilities, the robes, the training facilities, the rooms, the training area, the kitchen, pretty much everything that they need and they have. And then that's when they assign Red Tornado to watch them, as they basically say that as they were like doing a tour, Danny introduces them himself, that he's Danny Phantom. He has ghost powers. A freak accident made him half human, half ghost. And then it was like, so you could power down. He was like, yeah, this is my power up stage. He was like, when I'm doing hero work, he was like, I really stay powered up. But he was like, if I get to know you guys, excuse me. He was like, if I get to know you guys pretty well, then maybe one day I'll hang around here without me being powered up. But I have to keep on edge. Never know what's gonna happen. And so, with that being said, they wanted to know what his powers and abilities are. So they all decided to try to spar with him, right? And so that's when that's where we're gonna get to the list of his powers. So you already know the usual: ghost flame. His ghost beams can be used as ghost pyronetics, or like pyrokinesis, ghost rays, ghost shields, ghost constructs. He could walk through walls, phase, turn invisible. He can use the ghostly wail. Ghostly wail he can use, but it severely depowers him, so he only uses it as like a last resort, or like a desperate measure. Since he defeated Dark Danny, he was able to absorb some of his essence, right? He absorbed some of his essence, so he could transform into like Dark Danny, but he won't be as evil, but since he absorbed some of the Vlad side and the Dark Danny side, he has to like do it in control, because if he's in it too long, then that's when he'll become evil. When he's in Dark Danny mode, he gets a boost in everything. He has ice powers. He currently does have the ice powers, since I'm gonna say he defeated the Overgrowth a little bit before season 3 came. So this is a pretty much still rookie but kind of seasoned Danny, a pretty good power set. So I would say he's the strongest out of the Young Justice for now. He's the strongest. His powers are still growing, so he still has to, the only weakening factor that he does have is that it's the ghostly whale. That's probably the only taxing thing that he does have. And when he tries to duplicate himself, since it splits his power up. So they spar with him. Aqualad shoots his energy water, electrified energy water. Danny uses a shield and reflects it, and then that's when Robin throws his bombs, right? But Danny just phases through everything. He just can't be touched. And then that's when he flies, and then that's when he was like, okay, let's put this to the test. So that's when he starts using his abilities. He uses his ghost rays, right? He shoots the ghost rays at Aqualad. Aqualad makes a water construct to block him. He takes him pretty well. He tries to fight Robin, but realizes he's not he's a good combat, but Robin's a trained fighter, so you pretty much know how that's gonna go, right? So that's when Danny, compensates that for phasing through and blocking and having more strength than he does. So that's what happens. He gets ran up on by Kid Flash, which he's able to sense and see, but since Kid Flash is still relatively faster than Danny on the ground, he kind of gets taken by surprise. And then that's when Danny flies back and lands on his feet and then phases through the ground. And then that's when he comes back up, right? He comes back up and then makes this swirling energy around him, and then blasts it out, pushing everybody back. And then that's when he lands on his feet. That's when he looks and he was like, wow, as you can see, I'm pretty capable, but you guys are a lot stronger than I thought. I would have never faced anything like this. If this was me when I first got my powers, I'd say you guys would have beaten me pretty well. And then that's when Aqualad, does like a team dynamic attack, which Danny, wasn't expecting. And that's when he gets beaten. And then that's when, Aqualad and everybody else has like a respect for him. As Aqualad says, you are powerful, but you need to be more aware of your surroundings. And then that's when Danny said, got that, Captain, as he has that ability where he could use his ghost powers on the floor. And then that's when he phased Aqualad through the ground and then threw him back out the ground. Threw him back out the ground into the air as Aqualad comes crashing down. And then that's when Danny picks him up. He was like, I learned from the best, and I'm also a quick learner too. And then that's when Aqualad takes his hands, and they both that's when Danny helps him up. And so that's when Batman comes on the screen telling them they got a call about basically like an abandoned Cadmus, like not a Cadmus building. They don't know it's a Cadmus building, but that's when everything goes to canon with that, as Batman says that there's a fire that needs responding to, right? And so that's when they go. They take the vehicles, and then that's when they show up, right? They show up to the scene with the firefighters fighting the fire, and then a huge explosion happens, right? As Kid Flash runs up there to catch the doctors, but he slips off on the wall, and he ends up getting trapped in the building himself. And then that's when Aqualad uses the water to put out the fire, and then that's when Danny goes inside the building as he uses his cryo energy to freeze the water, right? Not the water. That sounded kind of crazy. He freezed the ice, right? He made the ice go, not freeze the ice. What the fuck am I talking about, bro? He freezes the fire. My head is all over the place. How do you fuck that up twice, bro? You freeze the ice. That shit sounded stupid as fuck. But anyway, as I was saying, he freezes the fire, and then that's when Robin is able to turn on the sprinklers, right? And then at that same moment, Robin saw that this was like a Cadmus lab because of the layout. And then that there was subfloors, right? And so that's when the building blew up, right? The building blew up, but that's when what is it? The building blew up. Some of the building fell, and then that's when Danny made a shield around the firefighters and themselves, so the shield could take the brunt of the blast, right? And so that's when the blast comes out, and then Danny holds it, and then that's when everything pretty much goes to canon. After that, they go back to the same explosion site, and they find a trap door, and they end up into a Cadmus building with all the xenomorphs in it. And then that's when Robin looks at the his hologram thing again, saying that there's a secret floor, and there's something underneath that secret floor where Superboy is, right? So they venture down, and then that's when everything was going to canon when they found the elevator, right? Until Danny was like, hey, I have a crazy idea. He was like, I could just take you guys to the floor. And that's when he was like, how are you able to do that? Duh, I could phase through things, see? And then he phases his hand through the wall. And he was like, I have done it with multiple people though, but it is kind of taxing. So if it's your first time, you might feel something tingly. Your stomach might feel tingly, but you should be okay. And then that's when Danny went intangible, his classic blue when he goes intangible. So that's when he was like, everybody grab my shoulder. And then that's when Robin grabbed his shoulder, and then he turned intangible, and he was like, wow, this is cool. He was like, though it is kind of freaky and my stomach feels funny. And then that's when Aqualad does it as well, and he was like, this feeling is very new to me, a weird sensation. And Kid Flash has it the worst since he eats a lot, so I would say that it kind of messes with his stomach, like Diggle, I think that's his name, from the CW Arrow series, when Barry travels and he gets motion sick. So it's kind of like that for him, but not on the scale of Diggle's. So that's when he grabs on. He was like, oh man, it's gonna be a while before I get used to this. And that's when he was like, everybody hang on. And then that's when they fly down towards where Superboy is at, right? And so they phase through the wall, and then that's when he lands, and everybody lands. And then that's when Aqualad's the first one to walk up to the pod that's keeping Superboy in there, right? And so Aqualad does his thing. He lets him go as the airlock gets unsealed, and you hear the hissing sound, and then all the fog comes undone as Superboy snaps awake. And that's when Calder says, you are awake, you are free. But Superboy wasn't trying to hear none of that. He went straight for him, bro. Tackled him, and he flew all the way to the table that had all the paperwork on it, and he crashed through the table. And then that's when Superboy started fighting everybody, right? He started fighting Kid Flash, but Kid Flash was moving too fast. But all Carter had to do was basically shoulder check Kid Flash, and then that's when he went flying into another empty stasis pod. And then that's when Robin used like his smoke bombs, but that wasn't working as he got grabbed by Superboy by his cape and then threw him. But Robin was able to land, but the force of it kind of like got him off balance, but he still landed. And then that's when Superboy turned his attention to Danny, and he goes rushing at Danny with the wild right hook. But that's when Danny dodged, and then he what is it? If I have a gif of it, I would put there. But man, I'm still upset that my laptop didn't come. But if y'all ever seen Danny Phantom, you know how his blast works. So he ducks, and then he coats his hand in like an energy, right? He coats his hand in his ghost energy, and as in the Dragon Ball Z style, he blasts the energy. Like, it's not a big blast, but a big blast enough to, you know, kind of melt the flooring in there, and, you know, kind of like, you know, heat waves and shit and all that other good stuff. So he ducks under then, and he was like, get back. And so that's when he blasts his Superboy, and Superboy goes flying, and then he thuds on the wall, cracking the wall, and then that's when Aqualad comes behind him and then puts him in a full Nelson. But that's when Superboy jumps super high to get him off, and then he comes crashing down, and then he grabs Calder and throws him at Kid Flash, and Kid Flash caught him, and they go crashing to the wall. And then that's when he goes back at Danny, with Danny just phasing through all his attacks, and he was like, you know, this is not working out in your favor, right? And then that's when he goes back to he untangilizes himself, and then, you know, like, he kind of like airdrop kicks him in a way. He airdrops kick Connor, and then that's when Danny runs towards him, and then they both get into like a grip lock, which tries to test who has more strength. And obviously Superboy has more strength, but then Danny amplifies himself by coating his ecto energy all around him. So it's really like a sort of kind of like an even tug, but we'll say that Danny wins only because Connor hasn't really been in the sun yet. So he slightly wins, but then Connor yanks him and then throws him, which Danny phases through the wall. And then that's when Superboy looks around. It's like, where'd he go? And then that's when Danny comes from the ground and gives him the meanest left uppercut, right? He gives him the meanest left uppercut. And then that's when Danny flies up and then makes like a huge ectoplasma energy ball, and then throws it at Connor, which makes a huge explosion. And then that's when Connor gets knocked out from that. And then that's when Danny walks with another energy blast. Like, his energy is coating his hand. It's like a ecto fire, like a green ecto fire, just like coating his hands. And then that's when Danny was like, and take this. And then that's when he gathered the energy, right? And then he punched the ground with the energy, you know, like traveling through the ground. And then that's when Connor wakes up and gets out the way as it lets off a huge explosion. And then Connor tackles Danny, and then that's when Danny gets a shield as Connor was about to punch down on him, like do a ground and pound MMA style. But that's when Danny shielded himself, that's when Danny used that shield to like make like a small area of effect blast to get Connor off of him. And then that's when Connor comes back, and then that's when Danny he intangilizes himself again, and then he phases through him. That's when Danny was like, all right, that's enough. And so that's when he goes inside Connor's body, and Connor's fighting it. He was like, get out of my body. And then that's when he shoots him out the body, right? That's when Danny gets rejected out the body, and he, tumbles down on the ground. And then that's when Superboy was able to get Danny at the last second, knocking him out. And so that's when he wakes up in a chamber, in a pod, just like Kid Flash and Aqualad and Robin. And that's when everything pretty much goes to canon, in that with Superboy saying that he's a clone. If Superman dies, or if Superman turns his cape away from justice, he's going to be the person that defeats Superman and take his place. As Calder was talking sense into him. And then that's when Robin was trying to escape the excuse me, another yawn. Shit. That's when Calder was trying to escape the basically not escape, but while Robin was trying to escape the pod, Calder was talking. He was trying to convince Superboy that he's on the wrong side and that he's nothing more but a prisoner. And then that's when Danny was trying to struggle, but he was like, the only way I could get out of this is if I phase, but it's kind of hard to do that. And then that's when Danny decided to coat himself in energy, trying to like store all the energy in to where it had nowhere to go. And then that's when he freezes his own pod as he breaks out of it. And then that's when Danny was like, so what are you gonna do? Do you want to join us, or do we need a round 2? And then that's when Superboy was like, he was like, I guess you guys are right. I will join you. And on that round 2, when everything is figured out and settled, we can run it back. And then that's when Danny was like, I wouldn't want it any other way. And then that's when Superboy finds out that he doesn't have all the powers that Superman has. He does have the super hearing and the X-ray vision, but he doesn't have the flight or the heat vision. Or I think the speed too, but I could be wrong. So they fight their way out. Robin does what he does in canon, trick all the xenomorphs by messing with the cameras and the security system. And then that's when the scientist becomes Blockbuster when they're about to before they go to the main entrance. That's when he takes the drug, and then that's when Blockbuster starts giving them the beats, right? He gives them the beats, and then that's when Danny was like, all right, that's enough is enough, as he was like, hey, meathead. He was like, hey, I don't know if anybody ever told you this, but you kind of look better before you transform into whatever you are, as he gives him an uppercut, right? And then Danny follows it up with a tackle, phasing him through the ground. And then that's when they come to the main hall or the main entrance of the Cadmus lab with Danny throwing him off and then following him up with the Ghost Blast, right? So he gets hit by the Ghost Blast and he tanks it relatively pretty well. And then that's when him and Danny have a standoff with Superboy crashing through underneath the floor and landing next to Danny as they all jumped with Robin grappling up, and then Wally running and jumping through the hole, right? And so as they said that, as Calder says, you're severely outnumbered. That's when Blockbuster says that, no, you guys are outnumbered. And then that's when the whole fight begins with Blockbuster pretty much beating everybody except for Danny, because Danny's using all his utilities. He's using a ghost ray. Sometimes he's using a cryo beams or his cryo energy or cryokinesis. Other times he's phasing through his attacks. And Danny has the strength, right? And so that's when excuse me. That's when Danny was like, that's when Calder came up with the plan. He was like, we need to make him weaken and then destroy the foundation of this place. He was like, that's when Danny was like, I could buy you guys some time, but you're gonna have to hurry up, because after this move, it's gonna severely depower me. And then that's when he goes into that's when Danny charges up, basically. So that's when all this green energy started swirling around him, and then that's when it looks like he's charging, and then that's when his green energy erupted around him, and that's when Danny was like, take this. And then that's when Danny created like a very, very bright green energy bar, right? And then he puts it in his left hand as he blasts it. Like, this blast was like just imagine Vegeta putting his hand in front of you or his enemy and just blasting away, and it looked like it's disintegrating him. That's what he did to what is it? That's what he did to Blockbuster, and then Blockbuster was kind of walking through it, but then he got pushed back as he was like, and then that's when everybody noticed Calder noticed a significant change along with Robin, Kid Flash, and Superboy, as that's when Danny's eyes went red, and then his hair started like flaming up a little, and then he was like, 5 minutes is all I need. And then that's when he goes into his semi dark Danny stage. Actually, no, that's way too early. Let me not do that. I'm getting a little too excited. So after he did that, that's when the last foundation was about to get cracked, but that's when the Blockbuster started going crazy and not letting anybody do it. And then that's when Danny got in front of Superboy as he was about to get hit by Blockbuster, and then that's when Danny used his shield to block it, and then he blasted him away as he was like, everybody cover your ears, this is going to get really loud. And then that's when Danny took a deep breath, and he said he did use the ghostly wail, and then just started screaming, and then it was a huge sonic blast that caught Blockbuster off guard as he started using a ghostly wail, and he got blasted back, and the whole building started shaking. Even the lower floor started shaking, and the whole surrounding area felt like it was an earthquake, as there was people nearby, in the city wise. It was like, what's that? There was it was still shaking. It was shaking, and everybody was like, is that somebody screaming? And then that's when the Justice League got an alert saying that there's a mini earthquake going on near this building. And then that's how the League showed up there. And so while we flash back to Danny raised his voice even more to make sure he's down for the count, as Blockbuster flies back even more. And then that's when he couldn't take it because the noise was too loud, and then he was getting hit by the sonic wave too. So that's when he got knocked out, or more like his ears couldn't take it, so he got knocked out because of the pain. And then that's when Danny took a deep breath, and he was like, and then that's when his hair, that's when he depowered, and then that's when his hair went back to normal. And then that's when he kind of went his hair didn't go back to normal. His half of his body went back to normal, as he was still in this ghostly, his bottom half was still in this ghost transformation, but the upper half wasn't. So he was like, wow, kind of getting better with that, but man, does it drain me. And then that's when he semi-powered back up into his ghost form. And then that's when the League shows up, and then the League told them what happened, and they broke protocol. And then that's when everything went to canon. Calder believed that it was a good job, and they were defiant, but they did it in the right cause. They wouldn't find out what happened if they didn't investigate. And pretty much the same thing goes for as the canon. Calder says, get on board or get out the way. And it's like, why would you say that when it's only your first day out here, my guy? But I concur. And you know how that ends. And we're going to go on to the second episode. I think I did cover the first and second episode. I think, yeah, that is the second episode I covered. So that's my fault. I guess this is like a part 1 and part 2 combined. So we're going to go on to the third episode. I was planning on doing the first part 1 into 15 minutes and the second part 1 into other 15 minutes. But I was like, you know what? I already started the first part. I might as well just finish this part. So this is going to be part 1 for What If Danny Was in Young Justice. This is season 1, episode 1 and 2 combined. And then the next episode we're gonna get into episode 3, right? So I hope y'all enjoyed this What If. The next one I will be dropping is What If Miles Morales was in Spectacular Spider-Man. So after I finish this one, I'm gonna finish recording Miles Morales. I would say this is gonna be for the Miles Morales what if it's gonna be like a 35 to 40 part series, not 40, but like a 30 to 40 first parter. So I'm gonna try to cover episode 1 and 2, most likely episode 1 and 2 for like the first part, and then for episode 2 and 3 I might do like an hour long series, maybe try to do episode 2, 3 and squeeze in 4, and then I'm gonna do the first whole season, and then I'm gonna combine it and to make it like a whole movie for the first series. So whenever I finish that, it could be like a whole, like, I don't even know how long that was gonna be, but it's gonna be pretty long. But yeah, I know I took like a 2-week break. I will finish the Invincible X Superman what if that is coming. So I'm just trying this Danny Phantom what if. I will be doing that, and then I'm gonna be dropping Miles, and then I might do the Madara series. I want to see how Danny goes, and then it's like a lot of characters that I got to keep track with, and that is the hard part, but it's kind of easy. But yeah, I will be doing that, and then I will be bringing a series that I actually kind of love doing. I will be bringing back What If Gojo Was in Jobless Reincarnation. I really was fucking with that. So yeah, there's a lot of series that I know I need to bring back. The High School DxD series I need to bring back. What other series? Aang X DxD. There's a whole bunch of series I know I need to bring back. Superman and Lois series. I know this is like a whole bunch of series or one offers or two offers I did that did really well, and I just never got back into it because I had more ideas. But I will be getting back into the swing of things. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this what if. This is Redux What If signing off. And when my laptop comes here, because it's coming, I know I've been saying this a lot because it's just been getting delayed and all this other stuff. We finna go live. I'm gonna do a live what if. We're gonna set the laptop up, and then I'm gonna just get everything that I had, like my OBS, so I can stream on YouTube and shit, doing the live what ifs, the live gameplays. Y'all come through and kick it. So we just gonna have a good time overall, man. So other than that, I hope y'all enjoy the what ifs. I will be doing a Discord soon and a Twitch, so I will try to do like live what ifs on Twitch, and then we can actually react to shit instead of just shit being like copyrighted and shit. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So I'm just hoping y'all enjoy these what ifs. I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things, so just give me some patience. When the laptop comes in, there will be a lot better quality and the OG shit, and plus I have a lot of gameplay that I can use as background, so that y'all gonna enjoy that as well. And yeah, I appreciate y'all for all the love and support. We almost at 130 subscribers. Like, damn, bro, it's like when I took a break, all the subscriber counts went up, and I was like, shit, maybe that's the method. Drop a good ass what if and never return. Be on some Corey Kenshin shit. But nah, I really fuck with y'all, and I'm glad y'all fuck with the channel and fuck with me, bro. So I want to thank y'all for like this milestone, because I know at one point it was really hard to crack that 100 mark, because I remember we was sitting at a good 80, 75 for quite a while, or even when we was at like 95, we was just sitting there for a good minute. But now we at 123, almost at 130, bro. Damn. But overall, I appreciate y'all for all the love and the support y'all been showing me. Even if I do like 2-week breaks and stuff, y'all still fuck with me. And y'all know life gets busy for me and pretty much everybody who does what ifs in general, unless you're doing a text-to-speech shit, which is highly frowned upon in my opinion. But yeah, I'd really just appreciate y'all, bro. Like, y'all are really important to me, so don't be thinking y'all, I don't care, because I care. I knew I'd be way more active on my posting stuff than actually doing what ifs, because I'm just trying to make sure and let y'all know that I'm not dead or some shit like that, or I didn't forget about the channel, because I really do be recording, but it's like, dang, life gets to me, or I just be on the game, or I be hanging out with my girl and shit. But yeah, it's just like, I didn't forget about y'all. I just gotta manage things better and not forget about y'all. And that's what I'm trying to do. But hopefully y'all enjoyed this part 1 and part 2 combined, episode 1 and 2. And without any further ado, I'm finna finish recording this spectacular Spider-Man, spectacular Miles Morales series. And I hope y'all fuck with that in general. This is going to be for all my Miles Morales fans or Spider-Man fans in general. And yes, Miles will not fumble as bad as Peter. But he still has to fumble. You know, it's like canon. Well, Miles really doesn't follow the canon, so I guess we can break the canon. But without any further ado, this is Redux What If signing off. And I'll see y'all on the Spectacular Spider-Man Miles Morales series. Peace.